So 1/8 of an inch today. If I have a number line and I'm showing my fractions in there from 0 to 1, and I split it in half, there's my halfway point, but I want to split this into 8 equal pieces. Yesterday, we looked at quarters, and we said this is 1/4, that's 2/4, and this is 3/4 when we get past the halfway point. So what we're doing today is we are splitting our quarters in half, and we're making 8ths. So in between 0 and 1/4, we need to find about a halfway point and put a line. In between 1/4 and a half, we're going to find a halfway point and put a line. In between a half and 3/4, we're going to find our halfway point and put a line. And then in between 3/4 and 1, we'll find our halfway point and put a line. If I count my lines, I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I have 8 equal spaces. When I label them, I have 1/8, 2/8, 3/8, 4/8, 5/8, 6/8, 7/8, and then 1 is 8/8. I can show you where that is. This kind of looks like our fractions we dealt with a few months ago.
So we're skipping a number?
You notice your halfway point, you have 2/4 and you have 4/8. So those are all equivalent. So if I tell you to measure to the nearest 1/8 and it magically ends right here, you can write a half. If I tell you to measure to the nearest 1/8 and it magically ends right here, you can write 3/4. That's equivalent. Now what you'll see on your ruler, which we don't measure this small with inches, you'll see that there's another line in between each of these. And I'm making this one even smaller. But you need to be aware because there's another line in between there. If I count now all my little lines in between here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. There are 16 little lines. When you look at a tape measure or a ruler, in between your inches, there are 16 little lines. So we can measure as small as a 1/16 of an inch, but today we're just measuring to the nearest 1/8. So all you got to do is count your lines. So on our ruler, every other, that means if I skip that 16th line, is an 1/8. So over here on our ruler, we're going to mark our 1/8 lines with our highlighter. Now when you do this, they're even smaller, so don't get all sloppy with your highlighter because you might highlight your 1/16 of an inch. But you're going to highlight 8 lines in between your inches. You're skipping every other line. And then you'll highlight your inch mark because that is 8/8. And then go ahead and keep going till you get to 3 inches. Okay, now I'm going to write what my measurements are, because when I measure my line and it gets to a certain point, I want this as my guide. You know what? When students were struggling yesterday, I opened this up and I said use this as a guide, and it really helped them. So we'll start with our in front of 1. Since there's not a whole number, we don't have to put a 0 there. We just put our fraction. So we're starting with 1/8, and then we have 2/8. Above 2/8, we're going to write 1/4 because it's equivalent. Then we have 3/8, so you have to write small because they're going to start squishing in. And then 4/8, which is 2/4, which is 1/2. Oh, these are tiny. Continuing on, we have 5/8, and then 6/8, which is the same as 3/4. 7/8, and then when we get to 8/8, that is 1 inch. Just like yesterday, when I get past my inch, then I have a big number out front. I have 1 and 1/8. Bless you. I have 1 and 2/8, or 1 and 1/4. I have 1 and 3/8, 1 and 4/8, or 1 and 2/4, which also is the same as 1 1/2. 1 and 5/8, 1 and 6/8, which is the same as 1 and 3/4. 1 and 7/8, and I'm running out of space, and then I'm at 2.
I'm nowhere close to that. Just got on the sheet. Just took her highlighted myself. Miss Bats keeps looking in here and it creeps me out.
All right. Couple of tips that can help you when you're measuring. If you close one eye and you look at your ruler, sometimes it's easier to count your lines. If you stand up and look over the top, it's easier to see your lines rather than sit at your desk and try to look at it from an angle. Kind of looks a little bit weird. So don't be afraid to stand up, close an eye. Don't be afraid to find something like the tip of your pencil to count. All that is stuff that can help you.